Davengers. West Coast Davengers. Ah! Ah! The creator of Lady Mechanika, comics veteran, the artist we all know and love, Mr. Joe Benitez. Hey, there he is.
Well,
Oh,
let me see.
he shrank.
There we go.
There, see, I don't know if you got to watch the intro, but I spliced in footage of you with Charlton Heston as Moses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Joe and I have known each other since a decade now, and Joe's first. It's funny. I got a piece of Joe's original artwork from his first book, which was Weapon Zero, part of the Homage Studios, and you guys have seen it on the stream before. I've showed it off. Last time he was on Sunday Sit Down. We talked about how he basically walked into San Diego Comic-Con, showed his artwork around, and got a job right then and there. Kind of a Cinderella story. And we're going to talk to Joe about a couple of things. I actually have some new topics to touch with him about, and he's going to tell me about how he parted the Red Sea. That's also one of the big parts. So how are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. We're in this is like hour 4 or something like that. So
right on.
Going well. Yeah, I got my caffeine is all set.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump right into a couple of things because we lost a little time. But you've got a new Kickstarter coming soon, right?
Yeah, we have one probably in May or June. As soon as issue 2 of the new book is done of the new arc, we're going to combine them together, 1 and 2, and put that out as a Kickstarter. And then when 3 and 4 are completed, then we're going to do the part 2 of that Kickstarter.
So this is what volume of Lady Mechanika will this be all together?
This is 8. The thing is, we have 8 stories thus far, but one of them we don't consider part of the volume. It's the special Day of the Dead,
right?
Book,
which we talked about last time. Is like your most successful merch items are the Day of the Dead things.
It goes neck and neck, but yeah, it's very it's highly in demand. Like whenever we go to shows, that's one of the most popular images. We get a lot about it. Yeah, we sell about equal amount, I would say, of all Lady Mechanika and Dia de los Muertos La Dama.
All right, we have a question from Brady, and Brady asks, what comic series do you wish you could have drawn for? If you could pick any series that existed through the 90-year history of the comics that we have records of, it doesn't matter if it's Tales from the Crypt to whatever.
I think Spider-Man.
Yeah, you never did. Did you ever have a published Spider-Man image?
No, never. No, it's I've never worked for Marvel proper. We did the Devil's Reign, which was a crossover, but that's the extent of it.
Right, and that's when you drew Feral Wolverine.
Yes, yeah. Gorilla Wolverine.
Gorilla Wolverine. Yeah, he did very. I was looking at that again, and somebody was talking to me about it recently, and I was thinking about all the iterations we've had of Wolverine over the the continuum, and not too many people have really pushed it to the animalness in that gorilla direction that you did, which kind of it's unique. I like that.
It gave him that Conan makeup or battle camel.
Yeah, with which is kind of reminiscent of that first one of those Weapon Zero panels. With the
okay. Yeah. Actually, it's like you asked me to get some old stuff, and I have a suitcase of pretty much everything pre-93.
Oh wow!
So it's all stuff that I broke in, but I also found all this all the prelims for Weapon Zero. It's like all the character breakdowns or I should say character designs, and it's interesting because I haven't seen these in a few years. You know, it's been a while since I dug it out. So,
Do you have any? You want to show some stuff?
yeah, I can do that. Like, let me see. It's like, well, I was gonna say it's like when I broke in, one of the jokes that Mark said when he saw my submissions was, it's like I drew them on this board. I don't know if you can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's thick.
this is a very thick board, and I was carrying around this Flintstones, fucking tablets. And no, but this was one of my characters that I actually designed for myself. I called him Parrish, kind of like take on Chapel. And it was actually because again, back then I was big into all things Image.
Of
but
course.
anyways, this character ended up in Weapon Zero as Tyson Stone. So it's like or Arsenal, and so I started.
Oh wow! Yeah.
But it's like let me see. Actually, you're mentioning the Weapon Zero page that you got. I don't know which page you actually got, but it's like I got the prelims for the 3-page Weapon Zero.
I got the page. I think it's page 2.
Okay.
It's only a 3-pager, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's the first page has, I guess, Neil Armstrong landing on the moon.
Yep.
Then it's like they go into some shaft, and then all of a sudden, we see these things opening up, and then we have the big reveal at the end with the Omega Red take that I did of Tyson, or one of the characters.
So Tej wants that you did Stone. I missed something there. The Stone.
No, Tyson. No. Tyson Stone was one of the characters in Weapon Zero, the main guy. And I think they codename Arsenal. I think that was his name. But my point was that it's like that was my original design was a character that I had for myself. Actually, I was at Homage Studios back in Mirror Mason. I was drawing it, and Mark came by and goes, "What's that?" I go, "Oh, it's one of my characters," and we can use them. So it's like, okay. So we ended up using them in Weapon Zero.
It's history. What was it? What was the? Was there like? So I mean, this is no 90s Image homage. Like all the studios under the umbrella used a lot of. It was like action movie names. Was there any like name board that was up in the studios that was like, here are all the names that we're using?
Well,
and it's
no, I mean I think they were just making them up. I mean, let me see if I could find one, because I have a bunch of character designs, and then the potential names are listed on there.
Oh my god, I would love to see that. That's when you look at Rob Liefeld's stuff, it's all like trope names that were taken out of like Schwarzenegger movies, or just
is it?
Yeah, I mean they really are. There's so much use, like just Youngblood in general was that Rob Lowe the Rob Lowe movie.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, forgive me. Oh, here's a quick one.
Yeah.
Just I have a lot of. So, anyways, this character never made it in there. There we go.
Yeah, we can see that
right there. But yeah, those are potential names: Primal, Rage. What was the other?
It's Rampage, Sage, Siege, and one is MAM something. Maybe it's
Maim, but with yeah. So it's like.
Is that a fun part of being a comic creator, making up names? Like I never thought of that.
I think it's like I mean, even now the creative process for myself is actually right at the top. I mean, that gives me more jolting, or more pleasure than actually physically drawing. The stuff is actually coming up with characters and the look and the feel of it. That's a lot of fun. Like crafting a whole world and making it all up as you go.
Yeah, I
So
mean, you've put a decade of your life and blood into this world that you've created, and feel like it's still just kind of like launching. It's growing every time you put out a new book.
it's the thing is, it's the initial the I was supposed to just do the mini. That was
Yeah.
my goal. I always had in mind, I was always thinking about doing multiple IPs, and I have like a list of different IPs that I've haven't developed. Some that I've started to, but it's like uh, I was always the approach was always supposed to do. I'll do the mini
Hmm.
and then bring in someone else, but then I get too attached to the characters. I get too attached to the world, and I felt like even now it's like I feel like I've gotten to the point where I can let it go,
Sure.
but it's very difficult to have other creators come in and start messing around with the characters, because it's like I'm always like, well, it's not going to be the character that I have in mind. But
Hmm.
I think uh, I've gotten enough of the world building that it's now, if anybody comes in and wants to create or introduce a new character or the look, we can immediately say, okay, that doesn't fit in this world, or if it does fit, this is how it would fit. So it's like and the look of the character has been developed enough that it's like anybody who comes in can kind of like, okay, this is what Mechanica needs to kind of look like. She's not going to, like if it deviates too much from what I've already established, then we can decide if it fits or not. And if it doesn't fit, then it's like we have to find a reason why it has a certain feel
Hmm.
or a certain look.
Um, how much, and for somebody that's never created a comic book in my life, how
Mm.
much time, at this point in your career, are you spending on a day, whether it's writing or illustrating?
Um, a lot less than I should. It's the it's I've gotten into a really bad procrastinating routine, and I need to break it, because it's like I have a lot of work to do, a lot of stories to develop, to write, to draw, and it's just like this week, uh, my just I started off on Monday and Friday came and I was like, wait, this whole week just disappeared, and I didn't get as much as I needed to get done. So it's
Sure.
like I need to start creating a better routine. It's just that I've had a really bad routine for a long time.
Hmm.
So it's like I need to start getting into a different, more productive routine.
I mean, I completely understand that. It takes motivation is tough. It's just tough in general, you know.
Well,
You know.
it's the thing is, it's not necessarily. It's like, yeah, there have been times when I haven't been motivated, but the problem is I get stuck in. It really is the phone. It's
Yeah.
like I get lost in that, getting that pleasure uh, reward, just going online and going to this site and that site, and it's like, and checking out who said this and who said that, and then you get lost in the reels. And like the thing is, it's like instead of sharing like art that I'm working on or cool stuff, I'm sharing stupid memes about this or that I find interesting.
You're
But
right.
it's like I get down that, before, when you were going down the rabbit hole, it was just
Mhm.
you and your YouTube. Now it's like you're getting all these different subjects that are very interesting, and it's like um, I think yesterday I wasted a good amount of time watching people fighting each other. Yeah,
Yeah, you do like to share some fun reels, but yeah, at the same time, I can't. I try to be really strict about like falling down rabbit holes unless it's something that I'm learning
right.
that's going to help me. I fall down the rabbit hole of the comic book YouTube realm
Mm.
because I watch other people's content and then I silently judge them. But um, what one thing I did want to ask you, and this is kind of something I was thinking about recently, and I'm going to ask Jim Rugg about this too. But you guys are both professionals that have been in. You're a 30+ year veteran, and he's a 20+ year veteran. Um, so we look at the days of Jack Kirby, John Romita, Buscema, like these guys were putting out monthly books in a succession in a way that would never exist, never existed again. Why do you think the comic book artist or writer or industry in general has moved to doing more of like people don't put out monthly books? For example, somebody you introduced me to, Felipe Smith, like he did his book for a long time, but he doesn't do a monthly book anymore. And Trad Moore as an artist doesn't do a monthly book. Why did that happen? Well, like, do you know? Did you see that yourself happening? And why do you think it is?
I know early on in the 90s, I just quoted this. I don't know if he actually said it or he was quoting someone else, but I attribute it to Travis Charest, that he was saying, at the end of the day, no one remembers how long something took you. They just remember how good it looked.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how long something takes you. So we always had that kind of mentality back then, that it's like, it's all about making the book look good. But I am, to get to your point, it's like, I think it's just people trying to compete at with the quality of the work. And sometimes you overthink things. I don't know how other creators are. Like I know with myself, I overthink things, and it's like I want it to be perfect.
Right.
But whenever I strive to do that, it doesn't meet that level. Like a lot of times, the best work is sometimes stuff that I had to crank out, because the time was running out, and I stopped. I stopped thinking. It's there's a saying there. It's like, sometimes you have to get yourself out of the way to create something. It's like,
Sure.
if you just, like, at this point, like if you work long enough, you just let your instincts take over. You just let them, like, get yourself out of the way. Let yourself just, do the work, and trust that whatever is going to come out will be okay. And a lot of times that's better than you laboring over how well that hair looks, or how good that gun looks, or how, dynamic that pose is. Sometimes, like, just get it out. Like, a lot of times people don't care. They just want content. And yeah, there's there's a give and take. You want to put out regular work, but you also don't want to put it out that, you don't want to put out crappy work,
Of course not.
So it's like, that's always the challenge, is like, how much do you compromise? And early in my career, I really hated compromising, but I always did. But yeah, like, I think it's, again, we just we've gotten into that. Some of us, I guess, it's like we want to put out something that's perfect.
Yeah. Well, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Speaking of Travis Charest, I've heard Mark Miller talk about him recently, because he knows, like, Travis. He has that book Ambassadors coming out, where it's 6 books, 6 different artists, and Travis is one of them. And he's like, he gave Travis the script 2 years ago, because he's notorious, but also one of those people that people talk about. His body of work isn't that huge, but everybody talks about his books being some of the best that exist.
It's very impactful. I mean, there is, like, I had a conversation with another person in the industry, like a year or two ago, and he was asking, like, if there's an era. There's always eras. You've got the Kirby, then you've got Neil Adams, then it's like, I think John Byrne, Jim Lee, and I brought up Travis. I think there was before and after Travis. There's a lot of artists now that are definitely inspired by Travis, even though it's like the mainstream isn't as familiar with him because of it. His body of work isn't. I don't think he worked on, I think, Dark Stars before he broke into Image, but he never worked. I don't think he's ever done any work for DC or Marvel. He's done some covers here and there, but not a regular. And it's like, so as far as industry goes, it's like he's one of the most influential artists in my time. So it's like, and whenever we talk, he's always up there. And if you if you talk to some of the top dudes, in the industry, that I'm pretty sure he's one of their most important artists or influences.
Yeah,
And you can see it in a lot of guys, but I'm not going to name them because it's like I don't know if they would necessarily agree or not. But yeah.
But I feel like he's one of those guys that people do wear on his sleeve. It's like nobody would ever deny being influenced by Jack Kirby. Like you just meet
Right.
Not that Kirby and Travis are comparable, but they are talked about as high influences. I mean, John Byrne's one of those guys too. You can't escape being influenced by him if you grew up in like a 30-year period. You just can't.
Right.
And it's not I think we're getting, and maybe you could speak to this because you're pretty honest about your influences. I think at this point in the age that we're in, especially like you said, constant changeover in content and information is always there. People used to be kind of off about their influences. You can't be. It's actually more interesting to hear people talk about their influences now because they're inescapable. Like you can't listen to a band that's new or new within the last 20 years and then not point out their influences. Like it's inescapable. So is it something that you were shy about when you were breaking in or younger that you're not shy about anymore?
No, I think I've always been pretty honest about who my influences were. And whenever I've talked to younger artists, I've always told them that don't focus on just one artist. And that was actually one of the issues with some of the professionals I worked with early on, that they were very, they only had like one or two individuals that's all they saw.
Yeah.
And those are the only guys that's like, no, everybody else sucks. And it's like, well, that's why your work was very stagnant. That's why your work was very repetitive. It's like, oh, that looks like Jim. Oh, that looks like Mark. You're basically just being a Mark clone instead of like finding a new voice by incorporating other artists into your work. And you see guys that were clones all of a sudden turn into something completely different because they started incorporating other influences into their work.
Sure. And it shouldn't be frowned upon either. Like, and I said, I don't think it is anymore, but I feel like if you rewound 20 years, wound the clock 20 years ago, people would very, very much take offense or get offended if you said, oh, well, your work reminds me of this because of this. And I'm like, but it has to do with ego too. That's a big
part. Definitely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like I got a bunch of like stuff that I broke in with to show, and it's a heavy McFarlane Liefeld sort of amalgam. And it's like, I mean, even the characters I drew back then, they were very extreme. They were very Liefeld-ish, because again, it's like I couldn't escape that bubble in the late 80s, early 90s. Those guys were pretty much dominant, and it resonated so deeply with me at the time. And I even to this day, whenever, when I'm working on a book, I want to exude or express that feeling. I want someone to pick up my book and go like, wow, and like get that that feeling of this is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I just enjoy that vibe. And it is that blockbuster, over the top, 1980s, big guns, big muscles, sexy women vibe,
Yeah. When I look at when I looked at the new book when it came out, when we were sitting at Emerald City Comic Con last year, and I was just like, nobody's drawing like this anymore. Like you're one of those, you came from that time and then like you perfected a style that was your own. And then everybody else just, I don't know, they disappeared. And Mark popped up this year. I don't know if you got to see that.
Oh, yeah.
That is the best Batman book to come out in 30 years.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's absolutely astonishing.
I'm hoping that they put out a black and white, because it's just, the line art is just, I mean, again, it's exquisite. It's just so fucking beautiful to look at.
It is. It's chaotic and beautiful.
Mm,
Each issue has like 4 pages in the back of black
mm,
and white line art
right.
that he inked. But the Batman, and for everybody listening, I'm talking about Mark Silvestri's Batman Joker Deadly Duo, which I think finishes up next month. I haven't had this much fun reading a superhero book in I can't even remember when.
Right.
It's astonishing how good it is, and it's a rise of seeing that crazy line art, which is what you came from, like this chaotic, bombastic line art
Mm.
that I absolutely
It,
love.
yeah, even back then, I think all of the Image founders, they all
Hmm.
agreed Mark was the best draftsman. I mean,
Yeah,
he is just like, uh, bar none. Artist wise, it's like he's just the whole package. He's really dynamic, beautiful people, amazing. Line art. It's just he's just a really amazing artist.
he is, and
So
it's I
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
no, 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 no. I was just going to agree with you.
No, it's again, it's that um, working under him, having him as a mentor was just again, it's like it helped push me into a new direction artistically,
Hmm. Yeah,
So
can't imagine the how good that yeah how good it is to be around a person like that when you're a
well,
young person.
well, it's the thing is I didn't appreciate it.
Mm.
Like I didn't like it was cool,
Hmm.
for a 20 something, but I didn't appreciate the fact that I was working with these monster talents. There was just uh because at the time I felt I belonged there. It
Yeah.
wasn't, it's just in my head I was like, well, I'm just as good as them, or at least I'm in that ballpark where it's like I'm just that raw talent that I need to develop it. But it's like it took a while. Actually, I got to, like I said, when I first broke in, the first day that I joined the studio is when I got a cold realization that I was not at the level that I believed I was.
Yeah.
And it's like it took a while for me to feel comfortable. Like even now, sometimes I do feel I don't feel like I'm at the level. It's like sometimes it's like okay, that kind of fits in there, but it's like yeah, this a lot of times I'm like don't feel like I've reached my full potential because I haven't produced as much or of the kind of work that I want to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't. I can speak to the fact that I don't know too many 20 somethings, including myself, that were
Mm.
ready for anything that, like any type of,
Oh yeah,
and especially mindset. So, you know, eh, I think the people that come into that kind of job, that kind of place, and are ready to go and totally understand what they're going through, it's a very small amount of people. It's a very
right.
small amount.
No, I mean it takes a while to again you need that time to look back and understand and appreciate and realize where things were. And again, it's just like it was a different time and a different mindset.
Sure.
It's just it's one of those where it's like if I knew what I know now, I think I would have had a different approach. I wouldn't have partied as much. I wouldn't have
Mhm. Yeah.
uh, I would put a little bit more effort into what I was doing. And there's a few jobs that I missed out on because I either felt I could get a better job or a um, better gig, or I just didn't care about it. Like I just felt like, it's not something I want to do right now. I'll do it in a year or two or whatever. And now I'm realizing how you know things shift so much. And it's like, and especially with art, it a lot of times it's what are you doing for me now.
Yeah.
It's like they yes, there's some appreciation of what you've done in the past, but it's all about that new thing that uh, the audience wants.
Well, you were, I mean, I know there was some steampunk books before Mechanica, but they weren't all steampunk books. They were like, stories here and there. Uh, you've been guests at what, multiple steampunk conventions is kind of like the main guest. I mean, was that something that you thought about before you created Mechanica? Was like, I'm entering this genre in a comic book that's never really had any mainstream success in that genre, you
No,
know, or was it
it,
just
it
no, yeah, continue.
no, it started like, again, the only reason I jumped, because I had no interest in that genre, it was just because I realized at the time that there wasn't anything like it.
Mhm.
It's just like uh I figured the thing is, it's like I was at Aspen at the time,
Yeah.
and I had I had Mechanica as one of the potential IPs. I had a space drama, like this bounty hunter space drama thing that I wanted to do, or the Panda Boy.
Yeah.
Panda Boy was like, it was another like little like kind of anime thing that I wanted to do. So it's like I had those in mind, and I went to a show and I saw. That's where I met you, actually.
That's
That's
right.
like that's at MegaCon
Yeah,
or
2000.
Orlando.
Yeah, 2009 or 10 or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
2009. It's like I went there. No, 2000, 2000. Well, anyways, it's I think it might have been 2010 because I
Yeah.
think it was March. So it's like that's at the time I was actually developing Mechanica for Martin, who was actually my penciling assistant and
Mhm.
partner on a lot of the stuff I've done thus far. But it's like because I didn't want to draw all the blimps and gears and
Yeah, the backgrounds and the
right. It
the
was just
details.
it was, but it's like as soon as I saw that, I kind of took it over. And actually, yeah, let me see if I have it here. Well, anyways, in there I have the prelims for Mechanica before Mechanica became Mechanica. It's like, and
Ah,
it's one of those where it's like there's one image where it's her, but with a whole bunch of different names. Like, again, Clockwork Assassin was one of the
right.
initial titles for the book. That was, again, it's like she was going to be an assassin. She was going to be like this cybernetic assassin in the 1800s. So it's like, but yeah, no. And the thing is, the goal was to do like a 6-issue arc or maybe even a 12-issue arc, finish it, bring in someone else to take over, and then
Mhm.
I would go on and produce or develop another IP, and then do the Mark Millar thing. It's just like just come up with a bunch of IPs, bring in, create a world, create different worlds, and like with Mechanica, I could probably start spinning off different characters
Sure.
and or creating characters in that particular world. But it's what pays the bills right now, so that's why I'm still on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I never thought of it as a big hit, like, or I didn't think of it in those terms. I just thought it would be an interesting um, story and world to play with.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting how everything's kind of shifted to needing a universe, understandably, because you know the, the comic book industry has always it hasn't evolved to the point. It's only evolved so much where like the movie studios and TV studios want to pick up something, but they want a fully fleshed universe, and that's it's one of the things that I know, and I don't think that's lost on anybody. That the reasons why Todd put out these other Spawn books is because
Right,
the movie studios don't want to just make one movie, which is it's weird, it's stupid, but it's business, and business is business.
right.
But I understand. I just like the fact that when that book came out, I remember specifically, there was nothing else in that genre that existed,
Mhm.
and I love that for you. It's a landmark in my mind for you that you put this book out and it's still going, and it's this the only one of its really kind. Um,
Yeah. No,
so
uh, I lost momentum with that first arc
mm,
because, again, it's like at the time, every book was actually outselling the previous book, and that was unheard of. It's like
yeah,
issue 0 was, introduction, but book 2 did better than book 1, and book 3 did better than book 2. And then I went on a hiatus for a year or two.
Mhm.
I don't remember how long, but it's like that really kind of it stalled it, because I felt like, and again, at the time I was getting a lot of very good reaction from it. But by the time we came back with it, we still had a good amount of we still had the audience, but not as interested. Now we
Sure.
have we have a solid audience, but it's kind of stagnant. It's sort of like eh, we do better with the trades.
Mhm.
That's where we're and overseas, and it's like um, we have a good solid audience. It's just we just don't sell. Like, I feel like the book could do a lot better.
Yeah.
If it's one of these, I always get retailers who come up and tell me how well the book does for them.
Sure.
Some tell me how it outsells Marvel or DC. Sometimes it outsells some of their better titles, some of their better DC or top DC or Marvel titles, but we don't have the confidence, I guess. In some cases, some retailers just don't bother ordering it, and so it's like that's one of the we were hoping that going through Image that might give retailers more confidence in ordering the book.
Mhm.
So
Well, the second Kickstarter, the one you're going to be doing, is the next arc going to come out on Image as well?
yeah, it's
Okay.
like we did that with the Ministry of Hell, the
Mhm.
monster from the Ministry of Hell, or of yeah.
It's
Anyways, it's like, yeah, of the creature from the Black Lagoon. No, um so yeah, we'll do the Kickstarter that, and so you will have issue 1 and 2 through Kickstarter. Then we'll take a little break, and then when the moment we solicit or we do the Kickstarter for 3 and 4, we'll solicit for book 1. So
okay.
it's like, basically the Kickstarter will, anyone who picks up the Kickstarter will get the book in advance.
Right.
So
Right.
you'll get it a few months before book 1 hits the stands. We were hoping to do that with our first Kickstarter, but we ended up having the book coming out around the same time. So, but this time we're hoping to get book 1 and 2 out, so get in people's hands so they can read the story before anybody else, and then it's like yeah, and then do that with the part 2 with issue. It'll collect 3 and 4.
Right. Right. You're not on the art duties for this one, right?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
well,
It's MM.
I'm art directing.
Okay.
It's and Marcia and I work on the story,
Mhm.
so she's taking point, and it's the way we work. It's, if like with Ministry of Hell, I took point,
Mhm.
and it's I had the concept, gave it to her. She reworked it, moved some stuff around, gave it back to me. I went back and moved some other stuff around, and then we go back and forth until there it makes some level of sense, and we can, it gets the story across.
That's a team
So
effort, a creative team
right,
effort.
yeah,
Is that
it's
is that your
good.
preferred method? Like, do you find more joy out of doing it that way?
It's it I tend to go in circles sometimes because I can't I lose focus, and
Mhm.
it's basically like I write organically. Like, I don't think I have points, point A, B, C, or D. I want to hit these points, but a lot of times I'll take side tracks or side quests. All
Mhm.
of a sudden, it's like I'm going to, from A to B, but all of a sudden I'm going to B, point 1 or B point 2, and it's like I start going into, and I start developing all these interesting backstories of these side characters, and I miss the point of the main story.
Right,
So
right.
it's like so that's why Marcia helps, because it's like she has a more of an analytical mind.
Uh-huh.
So she sees it as, it's like what is it? Well, what's the point of them going there? It's like, what do you mean? What's the point? It's because it's a cool journey, and then we get to see all this stuff about the character. It's like, yeah, but the core aspect of this story isn't important. That does that add anything to this story, like to the journey or to the point? It's like, well, no, but I want to tell this side. It's like, well, you can tell that side story some other time in a different story, in a different book or some, like, um, and yeah, so she basically, the analogy that we've made, it's like, I'm a bunch of balloons sort of like floating,
Uh-huh.
and she kind of has to wrangle them in, and or basically put a little, like, make sense out of it, just
Mhm.
kind of like put it all, condense it, so it doesn't stray.
So if you were in charge of, let's say, for example, the Star Wars universe, we'd
Mhm.
probably never it would never end. It would just be like side quests of all these characters. You do an R2D2 show. You do a would you do a Jar Jar Binks show? That's the question.
Yeah, the dark Sith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
He-
the thing is, it's like, what is it? Well, I mean, and Lucas needed a Marcia as well. I mean,
yeah.
you got, it's like, the argument is that without Marcia Lucas, that story wouldn't have been. It was a big mess. It was just a bunch of jumbled up moments,
Sure.
and she had to come in and sort of cut it to make sense. So it's like, I think that, and that's actually what a lot of people criticize about the prequels, that there's a lot of stuff in there, but it's all over the place. It's just, there's things that he could have easily trimmed to make it more streamlined and more impactful, but he's basically, just putting all this interesting stuff that it's interesting to look at, but is it really necessary to tell the story? And it might have been more impactful if they actually removed some of that.
Yeah, lots of stories in general, whether it's movies or comics or books, they do they do kind of fall short when there's nobody overseeing it. It's very rare that we find a creator that can write the story and then make the story like happen, whether it's on paper or it's on film, and make sense. It's very rare to find that one and all creator. I look at a guy like like Frank Miller in Sin City. That's one of those things where it's just like everything about it is perfect. There's
Right.
visually and storytelling wise, there's no part of the story that fails. And then the first movie, exactly, it needed the other person. It needed Robert Rodriguez because we saw Frank Miller did with the Spirit, and
Mhm.
clearly he was not built for all of those things.
Yeah, it's uh, I have that, a lot of times I over estimate my capability.
Hmm.
So it's, again, like with volume 1 of Mechanica, I got stuck, and that was primarily one of the biggest issues with the hiatus. I didn't know how to end it,
Okay.
because I actually had the blowing up of the Death Star. Like, there was going to be this big, big ending with Mechanica fighting off all these Blackpool troopers, and then you end up blowing up this big, the Helio arcs, and it's like, it was Marcia who came in, and when I I asked her, like, can you give it a shot? Like, what do I need? And it was just like, well, the core of the story is solving this particular mystery. Once you solve this mystery, everything else is not necessary. It's
Mm.
like, oh shit, and then within a few weeks, I had the ending. So it's like, you need someone that has an objective eye,
Sure.
and I think it works the same when she brings in a story, and it's like, yeah, I'll go in and say, well, this doesn't work. This is not. Was this necessary? Why is this here? Because it's like, I can see her things that she's writing that aren't necessarily, don't need to be there,
Hmm.
and things that might actually make it more impactful. So it's like, it's a good balance.
That's great. I mean, I think in life as a creative type, you always need people to bounce things off of.
Right.
Whether if it's just like the simplest thing, or it is like, oh, I need help with this story, or the story doesn't have, that doesn't have the avenue to get to where I know it needs to be at the end. So, and you come from a studio mentality. I think that's okay to say, right? I mean, you've worked at some of these studios that were known for a lot of jamming. Homage Studios obviously being one of those. Was it like that back then, where you could talk to somebody and be like, hey, what do you have do you have an idea for how I can get from this point A to point B, or what was that?
We didn't at Homage at the, 'cause I was there for a year,
Yeah,
and most of that was just trying to work on my craft. We didn't really have any. I don't recall anybody like because the guys that I was hanging out with were all the artists.
sure.
Now, I saw the writers occasionally, but it's like um, we didn't really interact as far as story wise.
Hmm.
But it was at Top Cal, I got a little more power or more freedom to play around with the stories, and yeah, I mean, there were moments when it's like, hey, that was that's the thing that changed my realization. When I went to DC,
Hmm.
um, it was a completely different environment. So what I was saying, it's like at Top Cal, I had a lot of freedom. When
Sure.
I went to DC, I went in with that mindset that I was going to be involved in the writing as well, or the crafting of the story at least. Like the pacing and the storytelling. But I wasn't. There it's like, here, draw your funny pictures, and let the real writers do their work. And uh, there were times when I didn't like the direction that the stories were going in, and it was tedious to do that. And I realized how much power they had, because it's like, now I'm supposed to draw their crappy story or whatever
Yeah.
but then there's stuff that was really good that I got a chance to do. So
Yeah.
it's but yeah, it kind of stumped my creativity, because I didn't like the vibe of just being a hired hand. But again, it's like, I think it was just my attitude. I just had a you know I think I mentioned this before last time we talked. um I brought this up to Michael Golden. He's
Hmm.
my one of my art gods. And when I was complaining and bitching about the fact that DC had me drawing this book and that book, and instead of like, I wanted a one book where I could put my signature on it, where I could,
Yeah.
put my make my name on it. And he
Hmm.
was like, "But that's cool. You get to draw all these different characters." And he went in with that attitude. He's just like, whatever you give me, I'm just going to draw the fuck out of it. And
Yeah.
I didn't have that. I wanted to. I became too bitchy and moany about the stuff I got, instead of just destroying the pages and making them look awesome. And so I got too caught up in my own head, in my own ego. That's one of the things that I wish, looking back, I would have tempered it a bit more. Kind of. But again, when you're at that time, it's like, my ego was running a lot more than it is now.
Well, me and you get along for a reason. We both have that kind of fuck you attitude, the,
Mm.
question everything, rebel. But you did get to draw the fuck out of Batman. So I mean, that's pretty dope.
That was fun, yeah.
Yeah.
It,
Would you,
it
oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about, I know you said you never worked with Marvel, and I was going to say, would you, looking back at it, hindsight, um, did you ever have a chance to work with Marvel, but would you have traded your DC time for Marvel?
Uh, well, again, like DC, there was some fun stuff. I
Sure.
just there were some things that I wish would have been different. I had multiple chances to work at Marvel early on, and I rejected both.
Mhm.
they offered me, I think it was Savage X-Men at the time. I don't know. I don't remember who took over, but yeah, it's like Chris Claremont was writing it, and it's like this was in like 2001, 2, or 3, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but I was like, do I really like? I was working on my creator own at the time, and in my head, I was like, oh well, this is gonna be a big hit because my confidence was big, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be better than any X-Men book. So, well, why would I want to work? But it was Chris Claremont, and it's like I didn't take it, and so it's like looking back, I think that would have been a fun gig. That would have been a really fun thing, and I think would boosted my name a bit. And the other one was the ongoing X-23, like Billy Tan did the. Yeah, Billy Tan did the miniseries, and then it's like I got a call from asking if I was interested in doing the ongoing. But at the time, again, I was working on Wraithborn, and I was like, "Well, I already have a team that kind of looks like that, and it's if I'm going to put all my energy into a book, I'm going to put it into my own creation instead of someone else's." So that didn't, again. That probably would have been a pretty good book to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So
I admire the creator-owned mentality much more, just in general, because it's you're always going to have to work in somebody else's system and sandbox if you're working with one of the big two. So, I mean, I admire the fact. I want to mention this comment here in question. Criterion John says, you mentioned the idea about the space drama. Any interest in ever revisiting that? He said he's imagining your art style mixed with a pulpy 50s vibe, like a pinup style woman in spacesuits, and he needs that. He needs you to do that.
Well, it wouldn't be that. It's think more of a Star Wars meets Game of Thrones.
Okay. All right.
It's just like that was it. It's more of a, again, like a very anime-ish, or with that vibe. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that I'm working on that. That's one of the ones that I'm developing. But again, I need to make some time to focus on that. So I just need to disconnect my phone and,
I mean, I could end this broadcast, but that would just be mean if I just clicked you right off, because, I would just feel bad, and I would never do that to you because we're friends. Actually, I might do that to you, but yeah, I would love to see that too. I'm excited whenever you have time to develop that. I always enjoy seeing your art, and I love how you're sketching, and I know we're supposed to do some of that, but technology sucks. I love seeing your sketching, and we talked about it last time because somebody had asked about the colored paper that you use, and that how.
No, I mean, well, we could do that. Like I could reconnect, or if I knew how to flip the phone.
What are you using?
It's a Android.
All right, so if you tap the screen, it should pull up the settings.
Okay.
If you click the settings, it'll say.
Tap the screen.
Yeah, so that it should bring up the settings on the bottom. It's like a little tool, I think.
It says mic, cam, chat, more. I guess
more, yeah.
Settings,
more.
Camera.
Then there you go. Then click it, and it'll say back camera, front camera.
Right.
We can. I mean, I could probably at least get one sketch, and that would be fun if you want to do that. There you go. Now you're on the back camera. Is there anybody that you would like to draw? Maybe Mechanika?
We can do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's.
Right. Or we can leave it up to the audience to see what they want.
All right. Well, why don't we see? Well, let's do Mechanika. Let's do Mechanika, and then
let me see if I could find something that's more appropriate, better tone on the paper.
Josh Pinate wanted to ask you. First he said that you're a legend, and I agree. Do
Super
you
legendary.
Are you reading anything, or have you read anything? Let's just say, I know you don't. You're super busy, but have you read anything the last year or so that you really liked, or anything artist wise that's current that really inspires you?
Oh man, I haven't. Well, actually, again, like I've been digging the Sean Murphy stuff. So
Mm.
it's like anytime that cat does something, I'm down with it. So I mean,
Yeah, he's created. I mean, that guy's created such a universe for himself and for the rest of us.
right.
It's a
I got
little
to move the
crooked.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna fix it right now.
But yeah, if we have time, how about this? If we have time for a second sketch, why don't we
Right.
let somebody in the audience throw out some characters you'd like to see draw? I will say this: Joe's Wolverine is Chef's kiss.
Mm.
No, no. What?
Now I got the fisheye.
Oh, there you go. What? I mean, it's funny because, like, as much as you say you don't have a ton of time, you do dedicate quite a bit of time to sketching and
Well, it's like
drawing.
the usually it's warming up.
Mhm.
It's the warm ups that I'm posting. But lately, because I'm doing this, what is that? Oh yeah, I'm doing this show in Italy next month.
Oh, nice.
I took on some pre commissions, so I'm going to trying to adjust this. So I took some pre commissions, so that's why I've been trying to finish those before I go to the show.
Is that the Lake Como Comic Con?
Right.
Oh man, the lineup for that is stacked. I didn't realize you were doing that.
Yeah, it's like so yeah, I heard it was good things about it. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah. It's one of those things where I keep seeing people post that, oh, I'm going to be appearing there, and it's like an endless name of great, amazing creators.
let me
Oh,
see. Oh, this thing. Well, let's see if I can do this with one hand.
all right. If you can do it, if not, we appreciate your
No, I mean I
effort.
could do it. It's just you're gonna get a lot of like movement.
Well, what I'll do, maybe I'll minimize the movement by. Yeah, there we go. No, that might.
Actually, can you make it full screen?
Sure, let's do that.
Because I'm gonna be looking through. Oh well, you know what?
Boom. There we go.
All right. So what are we doing, Mechanica?
Mechanica, and then Captain Crockpot asked for Deadpool. So if whichever one you want to do, you're the guy. You're the man. Um, Now on a let's just say a week where you're as productive as you can be. Or let's move it back. How about like 10 years ago when you were first starting out with Mechanica, first
Mm.
two issues? How long or how many hours a week would you spend at the drawing table?
I can't recall. I mean, at the time, it was just trying to make sure that the story was making some semblance of sense. So it's
Mm,
like coming up with the characters and whatnot. Uh, Again, it's if I normally I could knock out a page in a day or two if I actually spent, um, you know, the full amount of it, uh,
sure, sure.
a full day on it.
Well, I mean, a page a day is an amazing thing. I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, I can't even. I don't draw, so it's like I have to get really high to draw. That's the only way I can do it. And a page a day, that's an amazing thing. What do you have any variant covers coming up this year? Are you still doing that, or are you just so consumed with all
No, yeah, it's like I've gotten hit up by multiple. There's one that I did for a Murphy Lakey. It's like her it's Miss Meow.
Oh wow. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
like I posted that. It's a independent book it's Merck Publishing.
Okay.
So I did that, but I've been hit up from variants. But I feel bad that I have to turn them down because uh, they take a lot of my time away from doing the book.
Sure.
So it's like, here we go. Yeah, it's like they a lot of times, it's like again, it'll take me a day or two to do it, but it's like it kicks my ass because it's like a lot of times I overthink it if I'm doing a variance. So it's like so I'll spend a lot more time than I need to on it, and it takes time that I should be focusing on my own stuff. So I've decided to sort of focus on just doing variants for myself or my store. So
right. And that's by the way, everybody, if you want to order something from Joe's store, the link is in the description below. I believe it's joebenitezproductions.com. Is that correct?
yes.
Yeah.
Or
So
joebenitez.com. Either one will take you there.
okay, yeah, that link is below, and then Joe is on Instagram as El Joe Benitez, which is Spanish for the Joe Benitez.
Yes.
um, uh, do you have the Kickstarter rewards and like kind of the layout for what's coming all set
Not
in
yet.
stone?
We're discussing that as we speak. Like I just had a conversation with Marcia about that this week. So she's looking into what kind of rewards would be cool. And it really comes down to cost effectiveness. It's like there's a lot of stuff that would be nice to do, but it's just too pricey.
How do you like, or how, yeah, I mean overall, just couple words. How was your sorry, I lost my words for a second. How did you feel about using Kickstarter for the last book?
It it did better financially for us than a whole year than a whole arc.
Wow.
So that helped us subsidize the books. Like we were able to pay everyone up front, and again, it gives us a good amount to keep, so we can keep putting out these books. Like right now, we got See Home on this new arc. I'm doing another what do you call it? I'm doing a book myself, and there's another book after that. That basically we have 3 books that we're going to be working on simultaneously.
That's amazing.
So,
no, that's great. I mean, it's Kickstarter is something that I've been a part of Kickstarter since I think going back to like 2013 or maybe even before that, when one of my buddies was putting out 2 albums, and yeah, and it's just such a beautiful way to directly support artist, creator, whatever you're kickstarting, inventor, so I love that for any comic book creator. Jim Rugg, who's on tomorrow, did his Kickstarter book. It's almost, I guess it's 2 years ago at this point, Octobriana, which was a blacklight book. And yeah, and he I mean, that thing hit its goal like yours did. It didn't take long to hit the goal.
Yeah, I think we did it within a day or 2.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I remember. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I mean, again, it's in this day and age with technology the way it is, we're able to reach people directly. So again, it's like if we have an audience for that, then we're going to keep putting those out. If people like that, and we're not taking away anything from the regular version or
Not
the retailer version. So it's like, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Well, and for anybody that's not in the know, you did miss out on probably one of the greatest Kickstarters when it comes to comics ever with the Ministry. You honored the image creators by, and I talked about this last time, but you honored the image creators by homaging every original image cover.
Right. Well, book 1 of each of the creators The
Yeah,
original, the founders.
yeah, the founders. So
Yeah.
Shadowhawk and Youngblood and Spawn and Cyberforce and Wildcats and Wetworks and Savage Dragon. Uh, so that, yeah, it was a beautiful thing. So hopefully, whatever you do this time around, it's going to be great. I will definitely be supporting it when it goes live, and looking forward to whatever it is that the rewards entail. But I think it's a very important thing these days, more than it has been in the past, in supporting independent artists or creators, and that goes for authors and musicians and filmmakers and stuff, because the more that Disney buys up, the less that everybody else is going to have.
Right.
I mean, I hope one day Disney writes you a check for
Hmm.
some dirty amount of money for this, but until then, I want to support you as directly as I can, and I hope everybody else will take part in that. And you were probably Jerome asked for the darkness, but I figure we're only going to have time for one sketch. But
Yeah, Darkness is always popular,
of
but
course,
yeah, that homie takes a lot longer to get across. But I
I
mean, yeah.
got to imagine Witchblade probably takes just as long.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I just did one for the Lake Como.
Oh
I
yeah.
posted that on my Instagram.
Um, where is your commission list available for people that want to
Uh,
do a pre-commission list?
well, for the Lake Como, you can go to tdart.com. I
Hmm.
believe that's it. That's Tatiana Dykes. She's my art dealer,
Oh,
and she's taking on any commissions or there
and
for this show.
that's also where all your original art gets sold, correct?
Yeah, the stuff that I do sell is right there.
Do you have a lot of your? I mean, you kept a lot, right? Because
Oh yeah, I have. You can hear the elote man outside. No, I have. I think about 10 folders, 11 by 17 folders,
oh wow.
maybe more, um, of stuff that either I don't want to sell or I have to organize and see if I
Mhm.
want to sell.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I've been getting into the original art pretty deep in the last 6 months to a year, and obviously getting that Weapon Zero page was awesome. I bought that with
Yeah,
that Spawn page.
right. Yeah, I didn't even know that page was up for sale. Like again, I don't think I've seen any of them since I did them
Huh.
because I don't remember having like again because Mark inked it, so
Yeah,
I'm guessing that was his to keep. I was just an employee at the time.
sure. Well, if I ever see the other two and I can afford them, I'm buying them.
Right on.
Yeah, and then I will get you a scan of that at some point. I just don't have the means to do it. I probably
Oh
have to.
yeah, I was going to bring that up. That I'm planning on doing because again, it's like September will be my 30th anniversary in the industry.
Wow.
So I'm hoping to have either a Kickstarter for that
Hmm.
by then, uh, with the book coming out next year sometime. But it's yeah, it'll be like a 30-year retrospective of all the stuff I've done thus far. So
That's amazing. I will take care of that at some point in the near future. I got to go to a Kinkos or somewhere that has a real scanner.
oh yeah, no problem.
But can I write the forward? No, no, I'm not doing that. I would ruin your book. What other con appearances do you have on the calendar this year?
Right now it's like there's a show, a local show in at the end of May.
Hmm.
I forgot the name. I'll post it on my link, or I should say on my socials
Uh huh.
when I get a chance. But the next one is the Lake Como, then that one, then
Hmm.
probably San Diego. We're working on maybe making it out to Dragon Con
Oh, in
and
Atlanta.
New York.
Oh,
So and I think we're scheduled to go to Salt Lake City, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it. I have to
okay.
look into it because again, I got to start putting some time into the book.
Of
that I'm
course.
working on.
Course, and it's, it's a necessary evil, the con life, but if you can limit it to keep your workflow going, that's always
Mm.
going to be a good idea. I mean, man, how many times have we ended up at the same con, and it's just like those weekends really take a toll on you.
Yeah. Well, it's
you know
like I drank a lot more back then.
that's true, that's true, but so did I drank, period, back then, and
Mhm.
you know
Right.
I, everything in excess. But yeah, I want to encourage anybody that's watching this, if you do want to see Joe do some more process and sketching or commissions, you one of the things that you can always be guaranteed is random times at the night, you will see a video on Instagram pop up of him doing what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, it's like I need to schedule them and actually do them on a regular basis. It's just I get into these patterns of sleep that really screw everything up. Like
Sure.
I'll end up staying up for 24 hours or maybe only sleeping for 4, and so I get very erratic sleeping patterns. So it's like I don't have a set routine that I probably should. I mean, it's like again, I heard not having a regular sleeping pattern is bad for the health. So
It definitely is. I mean, I used to suffer from that way too much, but it's gotten a lot better. Well, I will be happy to offer you this. Um, I'm going to send you an email after this week is over
mm,
about how I do my setup for this, for because I do top down videos and stuff,
right.
and I would love to have you on the channel. We'll get you set up, and if you ever want to just come on and do a live sketching, happy to promote it in the for whenever you want, and we can have a little director's commentary by
Mm.
you, and we could talk stuff. We could talk about what's going on in the world of movies and TV while you do this.
Yeah, it's I again I've been meaning to actually start a channel myself
Hmm.
because again, it's not that difficult. You just get a
No,
YouTube account and then, but it's like yeah, like you could see, I'm that's why I'm not very computer savvy when it comes to the electronics and uh you know I can have a better setup,
sure,
so
sure.
I can do that.
And it is pretty easy. Like the top down setup just needs like a decent, just a place to put the easel, and place to put the I forget what it's even called, the tripod, that flexi
Mm,
tripod that I have. But
right.
uh Wooters James said makes it look so easy. I mean, watching you draw is such a fun thing. I've watched it before, but I know everybody's kind of getting a first look, and you you do it so effortlessly.
Mm.
It's such a beautiful thing to watch, and you're doing
Well,
it with one hand.
yeah, it's the what do you call it? This stuff I've been drawing. Well, this particular image multiple times,
Hmm.
so it's like I can have a little bit of a shortcut here and there. I
Yeah,
know where things go, so I can just kind of fudge it. I remember telling this, or I used to do this. A lot of times, people don't care about anything but the face. As long as the face looks pretty,
yeah.
you can kind of move a little quicker on the rest of the stuff.
Hmm.
So,
I mean, I know this, but for the people that don't, who your main inspiration in the design of Lady Mechanika?
well, it's like there's actually a picture out there of Kato Lambert.
Hmm.
She's she she was she's still a model, but she used to do steampunk couture. That was her what do you call it store, and she's a designer. But I liked her vibe. I really liked her vibe at the time when it came to steampunk. So I was like, I like that gothic uh, turn. So it's like,
Sure.
so the like basically I wanted to do a combination of like I love like Mechanika herself. I always thought of Kate Beckinsale from Underworld.
Yes.
Like I mentioned this before. Like literally initial design or concept for her was she was going to be a vampire, like a female Blade,
Hmm.
like, but in the Victorian times. So she was a vampire, or uh, again, that a vampire hunter, but she had vampire blood and all that. Uh, and that's why, I mean, in Underworld, her eyes are bluish,
Right.
but I gave her the Gambit eyes in this one. But yeah, it's like I basically, it's Celine from Underworld dressed up in Kato's outfits,
Outfit.
or
Yeah.
or that vibe. So
I think also one of the things I wanted to tell you that I just popped into my head when we were talking about Mechanica, reading the most recent issue of Batman Joker the Deadly Duo, I think Mark might have taken some inspiration from you on a certain character's eyes. And
mm.
there's a person with very much red eyes, just like Mechanica, that's a female, and I'm like, the master has now become the student.
Well, again, I stole the eyes from Gambit, so I
So yeah. But that's the thing. It's like it's what we were talking about before. It's inspiration shouldn't be some one of these things where it's like I would never call Mark ripping you off or you ripping off Jim Lee's creation of Gambit. It's like you saw something that inspired you and you're like, I want to put this in my character.
Well, it's again, I think most characters are just takes on other characters. I mean,
Hmm.
again, Batman. That's modern day Zorro.
Yeah,
It's like
mixed with Sherlock Holmes.
yeah, it's just like you take little bits and you blend them together and try to come up with a new product. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what Mechanica. When people ask, "What is she?" Well, she's a female Sherlock Holmes in the Van Helsing world,
yeah.
because people know those references, and it gets to the core of what she's all about.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think we're hundreds and thousands of years into human history, and or according to some people it's only been 19 or 2000 years, but
Mm,
we are the ideas have come and ideas have influenced other ideas, and it's like people say, oh, there's nothing original anymore. It's bullshit. There's plenty original. It's just a spin on something that you might be familiar with, because
right.
we're all human and we're all
Well,
written history exists.
yeah, we're going off of not stereotypes. What are those? What's that?
Tropes.
Yeah, it's just no. There's a different word for that. I'm sure
uh,
someone will know.
yeah, I'm sure someone will, but
But again, again, when you uh, God, man, I forgot the guy who Lucas.
hero's journey.
Right,
I
Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, Joseph Campbell. There we go.
Yeah, but he talked.
Archetypes. That's the
Yeah,
word.
archetypes, exactly. I mean, again, Frodo is Luke, and Luke is Harry Potter. I mean, it's all the same character.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it's a different uh, different journey, or slightly. But if you break it down at the core, it's this orphan who ends up or not, goes on this journey, and
Mhm.
you got the wizard, you got the badass, you've got the princess, you've got and it's like um, you got archetypes that fit, and it's your job to sort of blend them together and make something different with it.
Sure, it's about right. It's about the story. The person that is directing or telling the story is where we're looking for the creativity. Because right, the hero's journey is the hero's journey is the hero's
Right.
journey. Yeah,
Right.
and
We all have that. I think that's why it appealed, because we all have our own dragons that we need to slay.
hmm hmm I do have a question for you pertaining to this sketch. If
Mm.
somebody in the audience wanted to buy this, would you be okay with selling it?
Yeah, I was actually going to say, it's like you're doing a charity thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was going to say, yeah, it's like we can do that.
Why don't we?
It's like
Yeah,
whatever people want. Like if I want to do, or if we do another one, we can do that as well.
Yeah, I've got. Oh my God, Spotify just opened. What's my computer's going crazy? We could do it one of two ways. We could just do like a quick little auction, or we can just you can donate this for the raffle that I'm
Yeah, we
doing.
can do it.
Yeah, so
Whatever,
why don't we
whichever.
yeah. Why don't we just donate this and make this a new raffle prize and I'll I'll have you send it if you want to send it to me, or I can give you the person's
Yeah, we
address.
can. Well, yeah, I can always just ship it from this end.
Yeah.
Save money.
All right. So why don't we do this? This is going to be the 16th raffle prize. So if I can get a couple more tickets sold, I'd appreciate that. They're $20 a piece, 5 for 80. And you can either DM me, or you can DM me privately, or you could just shout it out in the chat right now. And I will just send you a message on how to pay for that. And we're supporting two great charities. It's Tiny Changes, which is a charity dealing with mental health crisis in young youth and teens, and then the Laidler Music Money Scholarship Foundation, which is started by my buddy Bryce, who did the theme song for my shows, and it's his daughter's high school that the scholarship fund supports. So this is great for the raffle. Yeah, I agree. And this is you got to watch it be created, and then it can be yours possibly if you win the raffle. Which the drawing is going to be Sunday night after the con on Sunday Sit Down Live here on YouTube, and I expect after almost 24 hours of live streaming in 2 days, by that point,
Mm,
I will probably be half dead. So it'll be fun to watch from the sidelines. But this
you'll be
is
fine.
yeah, I know. It's crazy, Joe. Like when you think about it, like we met at a
Yeah,
con 12 years ago or whatever, 13 years ago, and now I'm putting on this first con virtually, and
right.
you're my first guest. That's not, that's an artist, and it's full circle moment for me, and I'm so thankful for you for coming on and doing
Not
this.
a problem.
You
I'm
know,
always down, man.
yeah. Well, I super appreciate that, and I'm excited. I'll see you probably at some point this year, like if you're going to be at New York City Comic Con, that's another reason for me to go back home and
Right.
come to the con, because I haven't been to that con since I moved. I mean, since before I moved out of New York, like 2013 or 12 was the last time I was at that con.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
gotten. Well, it's always been pricey, but
yeah.
yeah, it's like it's gotten hasn't gotten bigger. I think
It has.
it outpaces San Diego, right?
Yeah, I think that that's their goal, and they're almost there. Is to beat
Mm.
San Diego. But I remember back when I was younger. Um, did you do it when it was like old Javits Center? So like
No,
no.
you know what? I'm trying to think. I did one. I did one show or one New York Comic Con that where the artist alley was in a completely separate section. I think,
Jesus.
uh, if I recall, like it wasn't where it's at now or where they
Right.
have it now, like
And they
the artist alley.
and they have Big Apple Con too,
Right.
which was at the Penn Plaza Hotel, which I remember that one back in the day. This is the first time, and the first two times I met Frank Miller were at that con.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so get ready to wrap up, but what can we look for, or when do you think maybe the Kickstarter is going to be live, timeline wise?
We're looking at probably mid to late May or as the earliest, and or in June. Basically, we're not going to start on it until a second book is done
Okay.
completely, or at least Sia's part. You know, the pencils and inks. Once those are done, then we can start prepping, because we just don't want to solicit anything and have any hiccups. You know,
Sure. Yeah, you don't want to
so it's like.
shoot yourself in the foot.
Right, and because we've done that. I mean, we've seen that happen with other creators where they solicit something that's not complete, and then the turnaround is like years in the making. And it's like, that's why we want to avoid any of those pitfalls. We want to make sure that if we have the book, that we can have a turnaround within a month or so.
Okay. Yeah. That's great. It's a smart way to do things instead of, having it go live and then people looking for the book for 6 months. But
Yeah.
I'm excited for that, and I'll be posting about that when it comes closer to time, and using my voice as as I see fit, and promoting you. And so you've got look at that, such a beautiful piece, y'all. So this is now going to be an official raffle prize. So I'll be talking about that obviously throughout the weekend, but it's great. Anybody who bought a ticket already, I appreciate you. We sold a shit ton of tickets, and I appreciate you, Joe, for doing this.
Yeah, I'll post it on my socials, and I'll send the link. So just make sure you give me the link so I can add it to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot you a text with the imagery for the raffle, and I would love to have you on again, and we can just do a total fucking all sketch or whatever you want to do, because it's a treat for me. Let me get myself back on the screen here. It's a treat for me to be able to watch you draw, and I've gotten to do it before, but I think it's also, as you can see in the comments, people really enjoyed watching you do this live on the channel. And
yeah, it's again, it's been in the works. It's doing like a live thing, or even doing like I like what Finch is doing. Been meaning to do something along those lines for a long time, but it just, I don't have a setup. Like right here, I'm in my living room right now.
Yeah,
and so it's like you could hear the neighbor bouncing a ball outside. So
well, that's also part of the charms of everyday life.
Right. So it's like, but I do want to have a little setup where I can do the sketches or what I'm working on, and have a little, interaction with people, and I wouldn't necessarily do. I don't know about the like teaching, like fundamentals and all that. I don't feel like I'm that comfortable doing that kind of stuff. I could answer questions, but aside from that, it's like like wouldn't do a curriculum. Would just do sketches and process stuff. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll be happy to ever host it and take care of the comments, whether it's on your channel or whatever. I'm always happy to do that, and it's just fun to watch, and a treat. And I will totally text you and share you how I do my setup, because it's super. Look, I was an idiot going into this and not knowing, and I was just like, oh, let me try it this way, and it's worked out. I do have one last question that I wrote down that I wanted to make sure to ask you. How exactly, when you left Egypt, did you part the Red Sea?
I can't let that information out.
All right, fair enough. So finally, Joe's website should be in the description below. JoeBenitez.com, JoeBenitezProductions.com. Joe Benitez on social. Don't follow him on Facebook because he got locked out of that a couple of years ago.
I have my personal page, but my art page is junk.
Yeah,
it's Joe Love now. The thing is, it's like whoever took over, it's like that fucker got 76,000 followers. I think I was at 30 something, or maybe under 30, and he managed to do that. So it'd be great if I could get access to it. But yeah, Facebook says that there was no issue with it. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like I wish I could get it back, but I guess it's not going to happen.
Well, you know what? Fuck Facebook anyway. Yeah. So thank you so much. As always, I love you, brother. It's so good to see you.
Prison kind of love.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of love with, there's toothbrushes that are filed to anyway. But yeah, thank you so much. And if there's anything else you want to share before you go, obviously you'll be at Lake Como Comic-Con.
Lake Como, yeah. It's again, just follow me on my socials, and we can Yeah, that's it.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate you. And I'll talk to you in a probably later tonight, or I'll text you on Monday.
All right, man, and good luck with the rest of the show.
Thank you so much. It's still got another 7 hours to go today.
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
man.
All right.
Later.
I'll see you later, Joe. Well, that was too much fun, and I'm glad that we were able to get him to show us his drawing process. That was great. Go follow Joe on social media. Support the Kickstarter when the next Lady Mechanika Kickstarter goes live.